All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Destiny Talk Show. I'm your host, Jamie Green, and I am honored tonight to have two very special young people with me, um, powerful voices in our community who are speaking up on behalf of our young people, our children of our womb, our children of our heart. We're just concerned about our children, period. We are having some technical difficulties, so bear with us if something one of us drops out or whatever. We will get it. We will get the message across. I also want to say Shantae West was supposed to join us tonight, but she is sick and will not be able to join us tonight. So she sends her apologies. And again, I want to thank each and every one of you who are listening in. We want you to like this recording and share it because this is a very important subject. Tonight, I want to first of all welcome my guests. I have Ms. Rashida Curtis, who is a mother of four, Eastern Shore native with a heart for our youth. She will tell us a little bit more about herself in a few minutes. I also have my nephew, Jabari. I think that's how you pronounce it. We all know him as Jermichael Mitchell. And Jermichael is a community activist with focus on youth issues and concerns. We know him as a coach, an entrepreneur, and he's known for his mentoring and impartation to our youth. Rashida is also an entrepreneur and teaching our young people the importance of having our own things and supporting each other as we go forth. And so tonight, the reason I wanted to have this conversation is because I see so many people, I hear so many people commenting on our youth and how they're so angry and they're so disrespectful and they're so, we point out all the negative things about them. They don't want to listen. They don't this, that, and other. And so I wanted us to get together and talk about what we see individually as we interact with our young people and as we, watch them. And what are some of the things that we think that we can do to make things better? What must we do as parents, as um, workers in the community, as teachers, as ministers, whatever your particular area may be? What can we do to make things better? So let's start with that. Um, Rashida, tell me what you see is your overall assessment of the state of our young people today.
Um, I'm relatively disappointed in some aspects, mainly because I'll be 45 in April. April the 26th, as a matter of fact. And I look back, I moved back home, back to Princess Anne, um, in 2019. And I look back at how different everything was and realized like 30 years ago. And I think social media, I think the internet has completely destroyed our youth. Everybody's quick. The first thing they do is run to Facebook, they run to Twitter, they run to TikTok, they run to every social media platform before they realize thing. And then they what they do is they watch but don't react. But they react to the negativity but not the positivity. And that's really that hurts me. And having children who are literally in every age group. I have a 25-year old, an 18-year old, a 15-year old, and an 8-year old. So I have all the spectrum. So it's we need some help, and we all got to stick together because I think we're some of us are failing our youth. And I think it's more of us that are failing our youth than it is empowering and uplifting our youth.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So, Jermichael, how would you summarize how you see the state of our youth? What do you see overall when you look at them and interact with them? Okay, I think his
Well, Jamie,
His
ask me
truck.
that one more time. I'm sorry.
no problem. How would you summarize your
Can you hear me?
overall opinion? Yeah.
Yes.
How would you summarize your overall opinion of the condition of our youth today?
Oh man, if I had to summarize it, I would say living in trauma. Would that make a lot of our youth are going through traumatic experiences, not only in their lives, in their homes, in their communities, in their neighborhoods, but also like she said before, what they see on TikTok and what they see on TV and what they see in shows. Um, it's causing a lot of traumatic situations where our kids are literally being desensitized, right? And
Hmm.
what's causing them to go out and act and do other things because they are no longer in tune with who they are or truly in tune with their emotions. Or I hear music and I hear others that look like me be downgraded. I get desensitized to people who look like me. So I no longer care about people who look like me, who act like me, who think like me. And it's easy for me to go out and be very destructive, not only to my own life, but to the lives of others who look like me. So our kids right now, man, they're living in trauma. And I'm like Miss Brooks Curtis, man, we need to sound the alarm because it's only going to get worse, right? Technology is right at the fingertips, and they can have all the access to knowledge that they want, but they'd rather be entertained than get access to knowledge to be more informed. So it's one of those
Absolutely.
things now, man, where smarter phones, dumber people type situations, right? And we just got to teach our kids to dig back in and really and get themselves back here. Because again, um, we don't want to be stuck in the matrix and be
Yeah,
lost to what's really going on around us.
absolutely. And I totally agree with both of you, because I think the more access that they have to uh, social media and the more time they spend connected uh, to cyberspace, the less time they are dealing with the realities of what's going on in our communities and even in their own homes. So here's another question that I thought about was, as we are marching and singing and protesting and walking around with signs and all of this about how much our lives matter and trying to get people of other ethnicities to respect us and to love us. The crime rates in our communities are going up. And while we'll jump on a white person that comes into our community disrespecting us, we will walk right away from that white person and call one of our girls out of the name. We'll walk up to one of the brothers and shoot him. Like it's no more fighting people. Everybody's shooting and stabbing. Um, so part of what I keep going back to in my mind is that somewhere along the line, we as the adults have missed something. um, I think we were so excited to see our children cut. You want to get rid of them. Like, let's just be honest. Like, after you had them in the house 3, 4, 5 hours at a time, you want them to go outside. You want them to go somewhere. So we haven't really been paying attention to what they were doing as long as they weren't bothering us until what they were doing became a problem. Then you have people outside the home who are recognizing that your child is having some issues. And then when that person comes to you and says, Miss Green, this is what's going on with your son here at school or in the neighborhood or at the basketball court or whatever the case may be. He's bullying people, he's whatever. I can't believe it because, like, I've never seen him do that. So then I become defensive because I'm like, you can't talk about my child like that because my child don't do that. But the people outside the house are seeing that. So my question to both of you is, do you feel that we have some responsibility for the state of our youth? Rashida?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a certain level of responsibility. We actually have a full level of responsibility because as parents, our job is to not only be responsible but also teach our kids accountability. Because what I've seen today is some of our older kids now. I'm not talking about your toddlers, your element, those that don't have as what they call in criminal the mens rea to formulate an intent to do something. They basically act before they react. But I'm talking about the ones you have to teach your kids accountability. You have to let them know that they are they should they have to hold themselves accountable for their decisions that they make. Now, our job is to teach them responsibility and accountability at the same time. Because I have no issue with admitting to my kids, I made a mistake. Hey, I was wrong. But we also, as parents, have to realize that one of the things that I don't know that I used to hear it, what I mean, speak when you're spoken to, come when you're called, you know what I mean? Oh, you know what I mean? Be quiet when I'm talking to you. Kids like don't have a voice. And one of the things that I pride myself is I allow my kids to have a voice because they have to have the ability to express themselves to let you know how they're feeling. Because a lot of times you can get to the bottom of a whole lot of issues with your kids if you just take the time to listen to them. To listen to them. All you got to do is listen. Sometimes that's all they want you to do is just listen. Let them get it off their chest. Once they get it off, you give them this my opinion, this my advice, you know what I mean? And then they're good with it. All I know is what I've done with my kids. I have a relationship individually but collectively with each one of my kids on a certain level based on their age group. But one thing that I do say that is common with all of them is I told them, I said, no matter what, I don't care how bad, how good, or everything in between, you can always come to me and tell me anything. No, this is a judgment free zone. This is a blame free zone. Tell me, talk to me. All I want, just talk to me. And I may not like what you say, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to speak your piece and to tell me how you feel.
Okay, and Jermichael, you, I think of the three of us, you probably interact with youth on the largest scale, on a regular basis. What do you see as far as parental involvement? I think he's having trouble with his
Yeah,
connection.
with his connection. He's a little bit frozen, but
Hmm. Well, while Jermichael is trying to get in,
mm,
because you know how
Oh, Jamie,
technology is, control that.
can you hear me? I
Um,
know we can
you ready?
good.
Okay, go ahead. Go
there
Can
you
you
ahead.
hear
go.
me now?
Yes.
Yes,
Am I coming through?
Mhm.
All right.
yes.
Can you ask your question again? I just want to make this technical difficulty stuff is kind of messing me up a little bit. But go ahead. Could you ask your
It's
question one more
okay.
time so I can respond?
No problem. As a person, as an individual who is involved with youth on a regular basis, on a large number, um, what do you see with regard to parental involvement? Do you think that they are as involved as they should be, or there needs to be more parental
So,
involvement?
so parents need to be more involved. But here's the issue with that, right? A lot of times, our elders and myself and other people will say it starts at home, right? And I totally agree to an extent because if the home already broken and that parent never learned how to be a better person or never saw the example themselves, how can you teach your child to be a better person, right? And then that's
Facts.
when the generational curses happen because they mama didn't know how to be a good person, and then the mother before that, right? So a lot of those jewels and gems that big mama used to pass on ain't being passed along anymore. There ain't no big mamas no more. There's glam moms and things of that nature. So, you know, we have to get back to the old school way of thinking when it comes to raising our kids. Not saying, again, like Miss Curtis said, that we got our kids' voices. We got to understand that we're a different age group and we're dealing with a different generation. These kids are very verbal. These kids want to tell you what's on their minds, and they have every right to. They go through a lot of things and they need to get that off their chest. But I would say parent involvement is very vital and important if the parent is willing to grow as well, right? That's the other piece. Don't think you know it all. Times have changed, so we as parents have to change, and we have to find new methods of raising our kids. And it's just how it has to go. But again, if that home life is broken, we can't keep saying, oh, it starts at home. Yeah, it's supposed to start at home. But if that mother never learned, if she was a young mother, right, a teenage mother, and she never really learned how to be a woman, how can she pass that on to her daughters? Or how can she correct her sons when he treats a woman wrong? She can't, because she never learned that her son saw that. Same thing with love, right?
Yeah.
A child should know love is one of the situations as well. If I never seen my mother be loved, how can I go love a woman, right? If I never seen my father love my mother, or my father show love to us as children, he was always gone. How do I know what love is at times? So it's very important for parents to be involved, but they got to make sure they're doing the right things while they're involved.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought that part out, because one of our viewers mentioned that as a city school educator, she says the problem is more parenting and the parental apathy towards education. Parental involvement is imperative. And that's why I wanted to to mention that to you, because I would agree with you 100%. Because if the parents who are involved are the reason why the children are behaving the way they're behaving, is because they're replicating what they see their parents do, then that's not going to fix the problem at all. I remember when I first started doing the Mother's Cry thing that organization, and one of the things I wanted to do was have somebody, do classes on basic housekeeping, because I had gone into homes with young mothers with 4, 5, 6 children, little children running around, 3 or 4 of them in Pampers and pull-ups all at the same time. And the house is atrocious. But when I figured out who their mother was, who the grandmother and the great-grandmother were, then I realized they were never taught to clean up, because that's how they lived. So it's easy to just put it all on the parents. Excuse me. I remember when my oldest son started getting in trouble all the time, and everybody that from the Eastern Shore knows who he is. And I was always hearing comments like, he must not have no good home training, or he must not have been taught any better at home. And I'm like, if anybody knows my family at all, they know he got good home training. But just like every other human being on this planet, he has free will, and he makes choices just like we all make choices.
This is true.
And so
most definitely,
we cannot.
Can I add something more, Jamie?
Sure.
Yeah, we got to back with that educator, because I was in a few meetings today with educate. We got to get back to the village concept. I know that's so cliche, but we really have to get back to that village concept. And the village concept is, if I see your child in public doing something wrong and I correct your child, don't be mad at me, right? Don't as long as I don't physically harm your child or put my hands on your child, as an elder seeing your child do something wrong, I should be able to correct your child, right? And then when he gets home, I ain't saying you got to beat him, spank him, or any of those old school things. What I'm saying is, you should say, hey, when someone sees you in public, you're a representation of me. So that's why they're correcting you. They don't want me to be out being embarrassed. And then the other component is, as a parent, if you need help, you got to ask for help. So many things go on behind closed doors, right? That people don't know the services or know who to ask for help or where to go for help. And there's tons of resources out here that will help you. But so many
Mhm.
times, I don't want those folks in my business prying and judging me, right? So
Hmm.
Yeah,
sometimes
right.
we gotta get past ourselves because if you don't get past yourself, you ain't never gonna get no help. And as you're gonna keep
That's
struggling, our
straight
young women,
fact.
especially single mothers, black people have learned how to survive so well. We think that's life. We never
Hmm.
learn how to live. We always surviving. And then we want badges of honor for surviving, right? We want our
Right,
hood
right,
stripes
right, right.
for
Mhm.
surviving, but we've never learned how to live.
Just
Hmm.
live.
Relax. We always
Fact.
been bill to bill, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and so on and so forth, that we've never learned how to chill, relax, and have some money in my bank account for a rainy day, right? So it's
Mhm.
so many things that village concept could teach our young mothers, our single parents, and our teachers if we come together as a village. Stop pointing the finger of blame
That's
and
true.
say, hey, we all have fault here to raise these children. We've all done some things that we can change. But
That's right.
the teacher, I got these kids. So can you help me with these students? Collective agreement on how we need to move forward. That's the other biggest piece. We always talking. We don't never have action
Hmm.
plan to move forward. Meeting after
Right.
meeting after meeting, we talking.
At the meeting.
And ain't nothing ever getting done. We never leave those
Hmm.
meetings with action plans,
With a
right?
solution.
To say, hey, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z. And then when we come back to this next meeting, we're gonna talk about X, Y, and Z and how we can get better at that. We always just
Mhm.
talking, talking, talking. And our children are just losing, losing, losing.
And
Because all we
yep.
doing is talking with no action plans.
Yep.
I love it. I love it.
100. Look, you get zero disagreement. Literally, when I say zero disagreement, the whole time, everything you said, I'm like, I'm literally, like I said, nodding my head, nodding my head and agreeing because I literally said the same thing. One of the things I used to, when I lived in Salisbury, is in both neighborhoods that I lived in Salisbury, before I moved back to Princess Anne, was I literally was like the I guess as they say, like the neighborhood, like I was like the neighborhood mom. I was a doctor. I was I was a chef. I was, a nurse. I was a counselor. Like all the neighborhood kids would come running to my house. If something happened, one of the kids would like, "Oh, so and so fell down and scraped his knee." First person they bring him to is me. And what am I doing? I'm getting out the peroxide. I'm getting everything out, clean it up, send you home, put a band-aid, send you home. And like, and then you got those one same mother, one mother I helped out in Salisbury, and like she come down my house, like on a rah-rah, and I'm like, hold up, pump your brakes. Um, just chill out. It's a neighborhood thing, and it's like some of these young mothers, they're so misguided because as you said, they weren't taught, so they don't know. And then they're straight as soon as something happens, they like literally jump down your throat without really they that phrase, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. That's the problem. They speak first without listening and realizing that if you just listen, you might just learn something. And it's
One of the things I also have noticed is um, our youth have a overall, and when I speak, I'm speaking overall, not individually, a disdain for authority. Um, whether it's a police officer, a school principal, the teacher, the basketball coach, the mentor, a lot of them just don't like people telling them what to do. And vice versa. A lot of people in authority don't like, they've developed such a dislike for our children, and the children know that.
mhm,
I remember when one of my sons was attending a school here in Salisbury, and he was having some issues with one of his teachers. So, you know, me being me, like I go out to the school, not gonna keep leaving a whole bunch of messages. I go out to the school and, you know, I need to meet with her to see her. In this meeting, some issues came up, and she came out of her mouth and said, I'm just gonna be honest and tell you, I don't like him. The vice principal was sitting there, I'm sitting there, the teacher and my son. And so I said, well, he doesn't like you either. And after talking to you for just a few minutes, I don't like you. But that's irrelevant to the relationship that you're supposed to have with him in that classroom. You're the teacher, he's the student. You have to respect each other. You don't have to be buddies. He has to respect your position, and you need to show him respect as well. And if you can't do that, then he needs to be taken out of your class. And quite frankly, you might not even need to be in a classroom. If you can sit in somebody's face and tell a parent, I don't like your child, you don't even probably need to be teaching right now for whatever you got going on. So my point is, when people know that people don't like them, or they feel that disdain towards them, especially adults, we do the same thing. I mean, let's just be real about it. If you know somebody don't care for you, you don't want to, why would you want to be around them or listen to anything they say?
Right.
And our young people are the same way. They know that some of us just don't like them for whatever reason. Some I talked to some adults who have put them all in the same basket, grouped them all together. They say stuff like all black boys this and all black girls that. And when you have that attitude toward them, it comes out, they know it, and they respond to it. So how do we adjust that? What do we need to do? Because we are raising princes and princesses that will be future kings and queens. What are we supposed to be putting into them, imparting into them to help them to realize who they are so that they can be the best versions of themselves? What is something that you suggest, Jermichael?
Well, you know, saying how the saying goes, man, you got to start with history. And no disrespect to religion, but we can't just do Christian history. We got to talk about all history, right? We got to pick up some books and talk about all history, because there was history before religion. And that's one of the biggest pieces. A lot of our children don't know who they were. And as it always says, if you don't know who you are or what you were, or all of those beautiful things about your past, it's very hard to know where you can go and what you can accomplish. So it's just one of those things, man, where I just think there needs to be, just like we have Bible study, there needs to be history classes from our community, not the classes just in school, not that just that history, because you always know, no disrespect to anyone, but school history ain't real history.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and that's the piece, right?
No, it's
and also in that history partnership between all cultures, because war has always happened, right? There's always been adversity, but there's also always been allies and peace, right? So we have to first teach our youth their history. Then on top of teaching our youth their history, we have to African American and all minority youth, we have to start teaching them to love what they look like, right? Start teaching them to self-love, because that's another big piece. They go out looking for gratification from so many other people and love from so many other things that they never love themselves. And it has to be the shoes or the clothes or the haircut or the hairstyle or the music. It has to be something else to get that validation. So it's just one of the other piece on top of it would be self. And then finally, right, the last piece to that to me would be, the third piece would be civic duty. You got to go out and understand your life ain't your life. And when you truly understand that your life is about service to other people, then you are always going to be blessed and be a better person. It ain't about you. We got to start teaching our kids, no matter how much they think it is about them, Their life is
It's
a vessel of
ouch.
use to other. And if you don't teach your kids civic duty in their community, especially for people who look like them, then we're doing a disservice to our kids because they never learn
Facts.
that life ain't about them. They're
Hmm.
spoiled. These
I
generations are
love.
spoiled.
Hmm.
We don't
Yes, they
allow
are.
our kids to see our struggles like we seen our mama's struggles. I seen my mama struggle. So growing up, you know what I said? I ain't gonna struggle like my mama. Or I say I need to work hard to get my mother out of that struggle. But when you always buying your son the Jordans, the fresh haircut, everything, he ain't thinking you struggling. He don't know what's really going on behind closed doors. He think y'all got a good life, just living good, and that's part how it's supposed to be. So
Hmm.
mindset and mind frame with getting out the hood or making a better life for himself ain't good because we've hidden the fact that mama's struggling, boy. Mama out here barely making it to make sure you wearing them Jordans. You know,
Yeah.
so it's just one of the concept. So our kids, one, have to learn history, two, self-love, and three, civic duty. It ain't about you. All the material things can't go with you when you die. So I feel like those three things will help our kids be better. And that's some things that we truly need to start pouring into our youth.
Hmm.
I love that. I love that.
Hmm.
Rashida, do you want to add something to that?
Um, I can say, I will, one of the things I can say is, growing up, I will say I can say, looking back, I was truly blessed. I came from a come from a two-parent household. Both of my parents were educators. They were both teachers. Both did at least 20 years in the education system. So I literally came from the background education first. You know what I mean? Get that high school diploma. You know what I mean? Focus on that, focus on education, and you will be rewarded. Like literally, I remember I got my first job at 16 completely behind my parents' back because what they told me was they was like, "Oh, you don't need no job. Your job is to go to school and get good grades. You go to school, you get good grades, that's your job." But I wanted my own, but I still got went to school, got good grades, did what I can do. So fast forward to when I had kids and I look back and said, you know what? Everything that I got, I earned. But they also told me once I got to be a certain age, um, I'm your lifeline, but I'm not going to always be there for you. And literally 2019, when my mom passed, is when I realized that hit me hard because my mom was my rock. She was the one when it came to the kids with school. She was the one that was at all the meetings with every educational issue with this with either one of my kids. And I went through some, Jamie, I went through a similar situation whereby a teacher told told the kid's father, said, "I don't think your mother and your mother-in-law like me very much, do they?" We sure don't, especially when you explicitly said that you didn't like my kid. So I'm not understanding where the disconnect is coming from. So
Yeah,
I say that to
that's
say that
mind blowing
even
to say that.
it is. It's like how do you expect, like,
Yeah, that's
respect
mind
is
blowing to
earned, it's
me.
never given. Respect is always earned. I don't like these people that think that just because you in a specific position that I automatically owe you respect. Uh-uh. I will respect you as long as you respect me. I respect your opinion. You respect mine. You respect my beliefs. I respect yours. I'm not going to put my beliefs on you and you not put your beliefs on me. And if we do that, it's a two-way street. It's a back and forth thing. If we do that, then we good. Otherwise, we don't have nothing to talk about.
I mean, literally, how does an adult in a leadership role say in front of a child, "I don't like you"? Like, who does that? Like, even if you say it when they're not around, you're talking to another adult and you say, so and so in my class really gives me
And
a
you don't
hard
even know that
time.
person.
I like,
And
and
you
I
don't
was
even know
like,
that kid.
and then to say it in front of the kid's mother. It was obvious the mother came there ready to do battle because I didn't have no appointment. I just walked into school and I'm like, this needs to be addressed right now. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So you know I wasn't playing. I didn't come there to play with you. So
Not at
why
all.
would you say in front of me, well, to me, actually, I really don't like him?
Mm.
I was like,
Yeah, yeah, that blows. I mean,
That's
educators, like
mind
you said,
blowing.
even
Like,
if they feel like that, they shouldn't say it.
no.
and the principal
Ever.
or the vice principal, whatever, I think he was the vice principal. I think the principal's name was Grutus. This guy was the vice principal. And he just like his mouth had fell open and he was just staring at the side of her head like, did she just say that?
It's the audacity for me.
But in typical Jamie Green form, took
Hmm.
me a couple seconds to process.
Like,
But
what she
I
just
was
say?
like, he don't like you either. And I don't like you either. But that has nothing to do with you're going to respect him. And I'm
And why
telling
I'm
Said
you
here?
by
that he's going to respect you in that classroom. But if he is to respect you, you are to respect him. But since that seems like that's not going to happen, what we're going to do is we get ready to go on spring break. In the meantime, I said to the vice principal, you need to be figuring out what class he can be moved to
Hmm.
because he's
Same
not
thing I
coming
did
back to that class.
mid
So he
semester.
says to me, this is when I think they just started doing the team thing. It's like, they have what 3 or 4 classes and it's part of a team. So you have to, if you have a teacher, you have to have all the teachers in that on that team. And I said, I don't really care nothing about your team. I don't care
I
about you. I don't care about you. I
don't
care
care
about
about
this
nothing.
boy right here. And he is not going back to her class.
Yeah.
We're not even discussing it. I'm telling you to take him out of the class. So at the same time, and I said this before, our children need to know that when they're wrong, we're going to point it
Point
out.
it out.
We're not going to be abusive, like Jermichael said. We're not going to be like just misusing them, beating them up, and just like fighting them like they're strangers in the street. We're not doing that. We're not going to embarrass them in front of people and call them out
Mm-mm.
their name or none of that. But we're going to let them know what you did was wrong,
Right.
and this is why it was wrong, and this is why it's not acceptable. But at the same time, they need to know that same person, whether it's their mom or their daddy, their mentor, whoever it is in authority, is going to come to their defense when they've been mistreated and say just as loudly, you were wrong for how you treated this child, and this is what we're going to do to fix it. And so this is what I wanted this conversation to be about tonight, because like Jermichael said, we can point out, Lord knows we can come up with a whole list of stuff that's wrong.
And
And we
what
can
about what's
talk
right?
about everything in the world that's wrong. And we can meet and meet and meet and meet and talk about it. But then when we leave the meeting, we don't have a plan of action. We don't even sometimes have suggestions for how to make it right. We just have venting sessions.
Hmm.
We don't need to get together and keep venting. We need to get together, point out the issues, and come up with some strategies to address them. And this
Right.
is where I want this to start tonight. Um, and I'm glad that this is being recorded because I want to play back, write down some notes of what both things that both of you have said, because I want to find out what I can do to make things better. Because everybody can't be a community activist.
Nope.
Everybody can't get out in the street like Jermichael does. I used to
Mhm.
tease him, and I was always telling my oldest son about every time I turn on, every time I sign on Facebook, Jermichael was doing a live video. Remember when you was walking around Salisbury doing those live videos? I said, and it's kind of like, where is Waldo? Like, I don't know where he's going to be, but I
I'll be
know
right back.
he's
I'm
out
gonna
there.
just go off camera just one quick second.
I said, I know he's going to be out there in the community doing something. And everybody can't do that.
yeah.
I physically can't do that, but we can all do
Well, I
something.
know,
And this is what I want
and
us to find
that
out.
is the biggest piece. Yeah, on Jamie, that is the biggest piece, man. Everybody don't got to do the same thing, but we all got to do something. That's the
Something.
village concept, right? The village concept again is your piece of the putt. Like if we all don't do something, there's going to be missing pieces. You know how you take that 5,000 piece puzzle
Yeah.
and it's a few pieces, you put it all together, beautiful picture, but you can't complete it because there was a few pieces of that puzzle. That's how it is when you're not doing what you were called to do, right? Every last one of us were birthed with something to do
Yes.
for the greater collective. And it's vital and
Absolutely.
important that we do whatever that is. And your gut and God will tell you what that is, right? So sometimes, like you said, some of us are multifaceted. We can do a couple different things, but some of us have to focus in on that one piece. And I think you
Yeah.
do a good job of putting a platform together for people to put out information so others can know, hey, listen, here's some resources, here's some ideas, here's some
Yes.
things that we can do to try to move forward. So what you're doing is amazing because that is the big key piece, right? Tons of people, like you said, they have platforms where they talk, but they never have platforms where they say, you know what, we're going to take those ideas and we're going to have an action plan to work. And then next time
Yes.
we come together, we're going to talk about how we work that plan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's definitely what I wanted this to begin a conversation and um a place where people can get resources. I don't know. I meant to ask you ahead of time so you could bring some things with you with regard to a list of resources for
Yeah.
mentors or whatever. But
Mhm.
you can tell us about. I know Rashida is a part of a sorority, I believe,
Yes. Yes.
that does community work. I'm gonna get her to tell us about that
Mhm.
in a minute because I want that also could be a resource. But
Mhm.
Mike, I
Absolutely.
want you to tell us the name of I know you do mentoring for young men, and I want you to just give the names of these resources so our viewers can have those.
Cool. Well, let's encourage. First off, there is a we already know in our education system there's a shortage of black teachers, and black educators. So it's very vital and important that if you cannot become a teacher, you cannot become a coach in our community, become a Wycomico County mentor. A Wycomico County mentor, you don't have to spend nothing but 30 minutes once a week with a child in our community. Go through a simple process. Wycomico County mentors, any school in our county you can be a mentor at. So if you don't want to deal with the high schools, you want to deal with the little kids, you can do that. But I just encourage, especially more African American men. Our children don't see men in positions of power. They see janitors, they see cooks, they see
Mhm.
cleaners and things of that. They have to see more of us come through as different facets of life. So I encourage people to join Wycomico County Mentoring. But I also encourage brothers to start their own mentoring projects in their communities. You don't have to do anything but go out on your block and find 5 young men and start meeting with them once a week or once every 2 weeks and start instilling things in them. Do some chores, cut some yards together, a community, feed the homeless, whatever that looks like. Go to different on that one block, and that's the piece, right, on Jamie. So many people got to jump in and do it so big and large. No, go out on your street and look down your street and see how many lives you can save. Something as small as getting them together and having a movie night, getting them together to have a like back in the day, like a team summit. Today we're gonna sit down and we're gonna talk about what just happened where 5 officers killed another black man. How do y'all feel about that? Right? Just different small things like that alone on your block. You don't have to go get 50 kids and have these conversations. Get your friends, they get the friends of your children together and say, tonight we're gonna have a TikTok party. And when they get there, let them TikTok for an hour and then have a serious conversation about life.
Mhm.
He froze up on us
He
again.
froze up on us, but
That's
I'm
powerful.
I'm I'm
TikTok for
feeling
an
what he's
hour. I'm gonna
saying.
give
Like
you
I'm
what you
literally
want.
feeling. Yep.
I love it. I love it.
Then my back, can you
We can hear you.
We can hear you. It's going in and out, but we can
and my
hear you.
back? Yeah, can you hear me?
All
Yes.
right. There you go.
I'm sorry, my back on Jamie.
Yes,
Yes.
baby.
My still freezing.
He keeps freezing. Yeah.
In and out, in and out.
It's all
But
right.
like I literally look, I'm in a moment.
Well,
I feel exactly what like I'm literally feeling exactly what you're saying. And like all like literally like when I say feeling what you're saying, because that's like my
can you hear
sentiment
me?
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
we got you. I tell you, this internet thing is a blessing and a
And
nuisance,
Can
isn't
you
it?
hear me? Am
yes,
I
Yeah.
it's a
back?
blessing and a curse. Good Lord. He might need to come back out and come back in.
Yeah, you might have to come back, go
You
out
might
the
have to
way.
come back out and come back in.
Rashida, while Jermichael's getting straight, why don't you go ahead and
Okay,
you could talk about
my sorority.
what you were
Okay.
saying about the village, yeah.
All right. So, um, I am a member of Phi Alpha Psi
Uh,
Sorority Incorporated. I am a chapter founder, which is the ADA chapter, founded in the fall of 1999. So I've been a member for the organization has been in existence since 1991. Um, Currently, we are inactive, but but I'm trying to get back because one of the some of the principles that we had is that we empowered young women to be their authentic self, to be who they are, to be who God, made them to be, which is strong black women who have no issue with asking for help. Because sometimes I think, and I'm guilty of it. And this is something I'm guilty of. I'm guilty of having to have, as they say, make things work on my own. That I have friends of mine that are like, um, why you don't ask for help? I'm like, I'll figure it out. And they're like, you got people that's willing to help you, but you won't ask. And I'm like, because how we have that stigma that we don't want nobody in our business. But sometimes, and I do training and development also for the state of Maryland. uh, um, Department of Labor Unemployment Division. And one of the things I did was I created a customer service training. And part of customer service training was, you know, the one of the things is sometimes in order for it takes for someone to ask for help is for you to offer, how can I help you? It's like one of the the seven best words in customer service is, how can I help you? Because sometimes all it takes is for somebody to say, hey, do you need any help? Is for you to ask, like, I need help, is for somebody to ask you. So one of the things that we as an organization try to do was instill positivity in young women, get them to, you know what I mean, be independent, but also realize that sometimes you have to ask for help because you can't do it all by yourself. We're not Wonder Woman. We're not Wonder Woman. You know what I mean? You can't do it all by yourself. And my kids look at me sometimes like, Mom, why don't you take your own advice? Because you can't do it all by yourself. So I say that to say, literally, I literally just lost it. Why does that happen? Now you be thinking so many things going on at your mind at the same time that when you try to formulate one specific thought, you're flipping back to other thoughts and you completely lose the original thought that it is that you was trying to say.
That
Uh,
happens to me all day long. I just don't even even pay attention anymore. But um, I think the fact that the one of the main things I got out of what you said was that sometimes people want help, but they don't always know how to ask for
As
help.
exactly.
And sometimes, so when you say to them, like even through the mentoring programs and whatnot, it is a way of saying to people, I'm here if you
If you
need me.
need me. Yep.
And then they'll respond with, okay, well, since you're here, this is what I need.
Right. Exactly.
So I think it's so important, what both of you have shared tonight, um, is in our communities. First of all, we recognize and we acknowledge that there are needs that are not being met. We're not doing the whole stick your head in the sand, um, quote scriptures and sing hymns and keep it moving thing. We're not
Mhm.
doing that. We are recognizing that there are problems in our communities that need to be addressed. And then we're offering suggestions or pointing ourselves in the direction to get some help. We're not
Hmm.
saying that we have all the answers. We're not saying that we are some magical wand that we're going to wave and everything's going to be fixed. But we are saying that when we come together as a people and say, yes, we've got these issues, this is what I see that we could offer to help fix the issue. And then we go to work.
Right. Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Actions speak louder than words. I know that's a cliche, and we tend to say a lot of cliches, but one of the primary cliches I'm a believer in is your actions speak louder than your words. One of the things somebody says that people can apologize to you, they can say I'm sorry, but as adults, sometimes when we consistently apologize for the same behaviors that we do, at some point we have to realize that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So, how can we hold our children accountable for their mistakes when, as children, they're supposed to make mistakes? Because when you make mistakes, you got to learn from those mistakes. Yes, as adults, do we make mistakes, but do we intentionally, are we supposed to intentionally inflict harm on other adults and or our children? Absolutely not. You got to treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's what bothers me about adults in this society. Like, you literally expect your kids to do everything that they're supposed to do when you're not even doing what you're supposed to do. How does that work out?
Yeah. So, Jermichael, from here, what would you like to see us do?
Um, I would say on Jamie, man, one of the biggest pieces, especially school is very wind down. We don't got long. Um,
Mhm.
we should start having some sort of action plans eh, from our youth. We need to meet with our kids. We need to find out what they say their needs is, right? So many times us adults get together and we trying to pin problems for what's going on with kids, but it's adults at the meeting with no kids, right?
Hmm.
We done lived our lives to the table and say, hey, what's going on with you guys? Conversation in your high schools. And again, we know some mature kids who would be willing to be real and honest with us. Because who better to hear from than the kids that are experiencing the trauma and what's going on in the schools of what they need. That is one of the key things. And then as a collective, right, it's time out. And again, I'm not pointing fingers of blame, but it's time out for that separation piece. And we have
Facts.
to come together. The
Together.
churches have to come together. The civic and nonprofit organizations have to come together. The education system had the law has to come. The local government, we have to come to the round table and say, listen, more negative things are happening in our community than positive things. How do we flip that? How do we tip the
Mhm.
scale back or at least get it
Mhm.
even to the component where our youth aren't
W-
and
I
it's just
think
bringing
what
us together, having more meetings of the minds.
Yeah.
I ain't mean to interrupt,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
but I no,
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 I'm
no,
done.
no. I
I'm done.
apologize. No, I'm sorry. What I mean, you know what I mean? One of the things that, I grew up, dealing with religion and Christianity. And as I got older, I started straying away from religion, and one of the things that I really wish as Christians that they would do, the hypocrisy that is displayed in the Christian church kind of gets on my nerves because, everybody talking about this, this, and this, and this, but ain't nobody doing what they supposed to do. Now, I'm not going to say ain't nobody. I'm going to say some people are not doing what they're supposed to do. It's so much hypocrisy within the religion of Christianity that what I really wish is we all come together and realize our common goal is to bring our youth to where they're supposed to be, to bring them to a point where they not only love themselves, they have a little bit better understanding themselves, and therefore they can be a better person to themselves and to someone else. But the problem I have with some of our church leaders is that they're so wrapped up in their own stuff that they toss our youth to the wayside and be like, boom, get out. 18. Once you hit, I one of the things I hated, I mean, I'll tell you, my oldest son is 25, will be 25. He still lives at home. My next oldest son will be 19 in May. He still lives at home. One of the things that disturb me about the Black community is that why do we feel at 18 years old that, oh, you're 18 years old, get out my house, fend for yourself, when we have not given them the tools that they needed to be able to survive on their own. So yeah, I told my son, as long as you're 25 years old, yes, you're 25 years old, boy, you can stay here as long as you
Yeah, you
need
tough.
to until you until you get to a position where
Mhm.
you have learned the ability to take care of yourself. I will give you the tools that you need. Hey, I can lead you to water, but I can't make you drink. But I'm not just going to kick you out the nest
Correct.
and expect you to fly if I ain't even taught you how to flap your wings. Like,
And
where?
again, just like with so many things in our
Uh-huh.
community, it's relative
Yeah.
because every situation has to be looked at for that situation. Like I put my son out when he was 16.
But he was
Um,
at because
no,
he was at that
he,
ability. Oh,
because he was disrespectful.
respectful.
He
You
was
had a reason.
blatantly disrespectful, doing things in my house that I did not want done in my house. And then when I would try to talk to him about it, he would get almost physical with me. So I'm
That's
like, I don't care if you 2 or 20, you're not gonna raise your hand to me. So you got to go.
my kids ain't
So
never disrespected me. They're scared of me because for real, because
so
I
that's
already
why
know
I'm saying each situation is
it's
different.
different.
But we have to, as a community, try to figure out what's best for our children and come together and do it. And I think this is one of the things that oh Lord, I hate when he's calling, I can't answer. Hold on 1 second. Um
Byron calling.
yeah, I missed it. It's not like I can call.
Oh,
Oh well, he'll call back. As I told him I was gonna be done by 8. But this is one of the reasons that I have this format, and it disturbs me, upsets me to some extent that people won't take advantage of it, because I have reached out to people. I can show you notes where I've reached out to people who work with in the juvenile justice system, people who work with homeless teens, people, all these people, and I say, let's get together, let's all have come together on this format and talk to our community and tell them what we have to offer, and people don't respond. Jermichael is the only.
Oh,
I'm
Jamie,
not just.
can I speak on that real quick? I just want to speak on that real quick. You gotta two things you gotta understand. Many are called, but few are chosen. That makes sense.
hmm,
So it's a lot of people
hmm.
in positions
Very powerful statement.
that shouldn't even be in those positions. For a person, if you telling a person that you provide for them where they can put out resources to our community, and they don't come to that platform, they're probably in a position that they don't need to be in. Because it's impossible for you to say you want to help people, and people are telling you and giving you a free platform to give out information, and you choose not to utilize those platforms. Some people out here are so egotistical that if it ain't about them and they can't get an award or some praise out of the situation, they're not gonna put forth effort. Because everybody, some people are always looking for a reward. Then you got people out
Hmm.
here who are living because when this is a lifestyle for me. This ain't no act. This ain't no. I don't wake up in the morning and have to put on no hat or I eat, sleep, breathe this lifestyle that I'm living. So anytime that I can get in front of a platform and give information or help in any way that I can, it's mandatory. Because like you said, when you're birthed with these callings, it tugs on your heart too much, right? When you're birthed with things that are really going to help people, it's impossible for you to miss the opportunity to pass on some
Facts.
information or some knowledge.
Facts.
Thank you, Jermichael. I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
You know what I
Yeah, don't
mean?
worry about don't everybody can't go with you. Everybody can't
Right.
go with you. How much you reach out,
Exactly.
everybody can't go with
Right.
you. Everybody can't go
You
with
they cannot. They can, and you know what? And I unfortunately learned that the hard way. You know what I mean? I learned that the hard way. I learned, you know what I mean? I was all gung ho, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm telling people, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I have together. And then initially everybody's all excited about it. But then when it came time to put in the work, it was crickets. It's like that Aesop fable, the mother hen fable, whereby she's making where she did all the work, she planted the seed, she did all the work, but everybody want a piece of the pie, but nobody want to help make it. That's the type where I get to the point where, what I mean, I want to end up giving up and saying, I'm just going to do what I do on my little scale, and maybe somebody will jump on board and help me out, but I'm still going to do what I do because that's who I am. Tell people I
so
give people my last.
Yeah.
I want to cut you off.
Oh
It's
no, you
Curtis
fine.
Key.
I sure can.
Nothing you do is little. That's the biggest piece. That's the biggest piece. Yeah, the biggest piece is nothing you do is little. It's always major because you're doing it, right? Little things never happen. Major things are
Hmm.
when people are putting forth the effort. So don't ever call anything you got going on little. And then the piece, man, is you don't need it. God gave that vision of what's going on to you. So sometimes, right, you don't need nobody playing with your vision. So you don't need them people to be involved. Like you said, ain't seeing it how you seeing it, they don't need to be involved. Because if you call me, right, and you tell me your vision, there's gonna be some connectivity between me and you because I can vision that too. You understand what I can see it with you.
Facts.
So I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna put forth the effort because I see where she's trying to go with this. Right? I can see all the people that's the biggest problem. So God gives us we need ourselves to make it happen. Right? Everybody else that joins is just extra. But only
Right.
person you need is you and God because at the end of the day, we know He ain't never gonna put nothing on you or I can't handle or bear. So that's the biggest piece with it. Nothing you're doing is small. Everything you're doing is major. Everything you're doing is major. That's why I said we all millionaires. We just ain't got the million yet. It's one of
Yeah,
those
we
biggest
ain't got the
pieces.
million yet. Look, yeah, look. I'm a millionaire. You know what I mean? In my heart, I'm a millionaire.
Yeah,
You know
most
what I mean?
definitely.
I'm more than
Most
I'm a
definitely.
billionaire. You know
Right.
what I mean? As they say, I'm a
Yeah,
billionaire
most definitely.
because I'm a billionaire.
Most
You
definitely.
know what I mean? Because
Most
my
definitely.
richness does not come from monetary. My richness comes from in
Correct.
here. This is where
Correct.
if I have the love of my family. You know what I mean? I have the first. So excuse me. Before I have the love of my family, I have the love of myself. I have self-love. It took me a minute to get it back,
Self-love.
but I have self-love, love of my family, and I'm like, you know what? I'm rich and I don't even need to be monetary rich because at the end of the day, you know what I mean? I got gold. It's gold and silver. All I see is gold, silver, and diamond. That's all I
Most
see is
definitely.
gold, silver, and
Most
diamond.
definitely.
The
Well,
precious
I thank
metals.
you. I really I have to get
Yes, I
ready to
understand.
go.
Mhm.
But I really, really appreciate you all taking time to join me tonight. I have
Anytime.
learned a lot from both of you. And as I said, I'm going to play this back and write some things down because you blessed me more than I even know how to tell you. Um, Even what Jermichael said at the very end to you about whatever we're doing is not little. And I
That's
say
my
that
biggest takeaway.
sometimes like I'm gonna pay more attention to not saying that. Because
Me
even with
too.
this platform, I may refer to it as my little show or whatever. And I'm like, I'm gonna stop doing that because it was given to me by God and it's touching lives and it's changing lives. and is providing a platform for change. And next month, it will be 2 years since I started this. And when I first started, I didn't even plan to do this. Like I just was doing a 1 month thing for mothers. Then I did one for fathers. And then it was recommended to me that I just keep doing it. And so I just want to encourage both of you, whatever your hands are doing, keep doing it with all your might. Do it from your very soul because you are given that assignment for a reason because you have what it takes to complete that assignment.
Can I
And
say one thing before you when you finish? Can I say one thing before we
yes,
leave
and I
since
want
it's
you
being
both
recorded?
to know that I'm very proud of what you're doing, and I want you to just keep doing it. And anytime I can be of service to you, you both know my limitations right now, my physical challenges or whatever. But whatever I can do to help, just reach out to me.
Okay. I want to tell the two of you and your viewers, um, you know, one of the things you said was that I was an entrepreneur. I actually am a paparazzi jewelry consultant, and I do have to say, I have my earrings on. I have $5 accessories, $5 and $25 accessories. So if you're interested in affordable and fashionable gifts, anybody I got men's jewelry and I got women's jewelry, affordable, fashionable gifts. Just hit me up on Facebook or whatever. But I just thought I'd put that out there. So just in case you know anybody just looking for Valentine's Day is coming up, or just because it's $5. So I just wanted to put that out there because I'm like, sharing is caring, and sometimes just to be able to give somebody a just because gift is yeah, and I just randomly give people jewelry. So and I got so much to give. So thank you for allowing me to say that. But yeah, it just if you know anybody that's looking for, I got necklaces, earrings, bracelets, all kinds of accessories. If you're out
Girl,
there, even
we know what
yeah, I
paparazzi
know
got.
some people don't even know what paparazzi is. It's people that don't know what paparazzi
Well,
is,
I
but
don't know
yeah,
what rock they've been living under
me
because
neither.
every time I look up, somebody's selling
So,
paparazzi.
but yeah, just come
These
to me.
earrings I got on is paparazzi.
I know, I recognize that. You know what I mean? Just come to me. Just come on to me and I do my own shipping. You know what I mean? I got my shipping label, I got my printers, I even
Girl,
got my own website.
get
I'm
out of
ready.
here.
But anyway, I love y'all.
We
Thank you so
love you
much,
too.
Jamie. Y'all have
Jermichael,
a
thank you
wonderful
so much
night.
for taking time tonight. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys call me if you
Of
need
course.
me.
Yes,
Anytime.
ma'am. Bye. Have a good
Okay.
night.
Take
Good
care.
night. Love you.
Bye.
You